Alright guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you what sold in our antique booth for the month of September. So what is today? Today is October 4th. So we're still in the early days of October. So this will be everything that sold last month for September in no particular order. I do feel like every time before I start here, I just have to reiterate that the price that I tell you what something sold for is just the ticket price. It doesn't include our 10% off or anything like that, because we do a 10% off like all of the time, okay? So just the ticket price. First thing that I have was a Halloween themed garden flag. You will see a lot of Halloween themed items in here. This one said trick or treat with a kitty cat on it. That sold for $10. The next three items all sold for the same price. I believe two of them were purchased by one person and then the last one was someone else. So they didn't all go at the exact same time, but these were three little tiny glass pumpkins, blown glass pumpkins, and they were all signed. Eric and I don't think we could figure out who actually made them, but similar signed pumpkins, when we did look them up, they were selling for around the same price. So we just went with that price, which was $16. So each pumpkin sold for $16 a piece. I can't remember like which one sold first or anything like that. Next item I have is actually a black cat face rug. This sold for $25. I actually have one of these myself that I have in our small bathroom downstairs off the kitchen and I absolutely love it. Next item was kind of like a primitive looking candy corn on like a rusty metal spring that sold for $11. We also sold just one of the McDonald's Halloween buckets. The one that sold, the picture that you see I think shows all of them, but it was the green one that looked kind of like a goblin-y witch. That sold for $5. We also sold this really awesome looking jug that had acorns and leaves all over. We actually had this in the booth last year and it didn't sell, so we put it back in and it sold this time around for $20. I think we sold literally every single Halloween themed melted popcorn wall hangings that we had. I do still have three that are actually listed on eBay that I might take down to put in, but I'm also not entirely sure when we're going to be switching out to Christmas, so I'm not sure yet if those ones will go in this year or maybe next year if I still have them. But this one here, you'll see two in the picture and both of those sold, and some of these I did have doubles of, so you might have seen some in like maybe possibly the last what sold video. But the first one was a witch on a broom popcorn that sold for $22, and then also in that picture is a pumpkin and that one sold for $20. I also sold this, oh I loved this thing, I didn't have room for it, but it was a literal spider web mirror. It was pretty dang tall too. It wasn't like a small guy. I mean, he was probably like, well, you can't even see my hand, but it was a decent sized mirror, all metal with these like metal spiders dangling off of it. It was amazing. I won that at an auction at one point, and sold that mirror for $40. Let's see, we also sold a little Halloween figural piece. I don't know exactly who made him. He was a mummy looking man that sold for $22. Then in this picture you see two Honey and Me Crocs with these black crows on and little pears. So those both sold. Again, it wasn't the same day, it wasn't the same person, but the first one I think that sold was the smaller one. That one sold for $12, and then the other one sold for $15. I've also been trying to put in, I sometimes put books into our booth, but I try to also, like if I see any kind of locally themed books, I tend to pick them up. So I found this ghost story book and it was all local ghost stories, which is awesome. I wanted to read it myself, which I did. I found that at a yard sale, and then I put it in the booth for $8 and it sold. So I read it first. Obviously I have to do that when I find books that I want to read. Let's see. This next item, unfortunately, I don't have individual pictures of every single card. But the picture you can kind of just see is like a basket full of Halloween cards. These are all reproductions. They're not actually vintage Halloween postcards. I wish they were. But reproduction Halloween cards. I sold 11 of those so far for the month of September. I think I still have a couple left. I have $2 a piece on those. So the 11 of them sold for $2 a piece. Let's see, also sold a Halloween kind of themed cat magnet. This looks like something maybe someone had handmade. That sold for $3. We also sold a Bleak Ireland vase for $17. I do feel like every piece of Bleak we have put in the booth thus far has sold. I think there is a Bleak ashtray in the booth right now that hasn't sold yet, but everything else has so far. Next item was actually a signed pottery bowl. I do believe it was more or less for like a candle because it had this really cool kind of cutout on the front. This was signed. Again, couldn't make out the signature on it. Won that at an auction for like, I don't know, probably like $1. You know what I mean? So we put it in the booth and it sold for $19. Let's see. I sold a set of 3 little wooden pumpkin kind of ornaments. Those sold as the set of 3 for $6. I'm pretty sure this is the last Norman Brum bird that Eric had in the booth. I mean, we have more we can put in the booth, but this was the last one. I do believe that was in the booth. That one sold for $85. I sold a yellow cat cookie jar for $30. Sold a couple pottery pieces. Again, this will be, both items are in the same picture but weren't purchased by the same person. The first one was a Jamestown pottery crock that had a bird on it. It was like a salt glazed kind of crock. That sold for $19. And then also in that picture is a Becky Mummert pottery bowl. It had a pig on the inside. I know you can't really see that in the picture, but there was a pig on the inside. And that one sold for $29. We sold a Fenton glass cat that was kind of popping out of a little shopping bag. That sold for $45. Sold a Longaberger tissue box for $36. I think I actually have another one of these that looks exactly like this, so I'll have to put that in. But we did just put in another like more rectangular shaped Longaberger tissue box, so that's in the booth now. We sold a set, a 3-piece set of these green glass canister jars. These had these really awesome like bubble tops to them. Those sold as the set for $40. We also sold a set of blue Ellie Smith glass horse bookends for $69. I actually have a clear set that I need to put in. Then we also sold a Beaumont Brothers crock. It had like green vines all over it for $12. Sold a blue glass egg-shaped paperweight for $21. Here's another Halloween garden flag. This one had some skeletons on it dancing around, and it said the most wonderful time of the year. That sold for $10. We sold a clear glass rooster-shaped candy container for $6. Here's another Becky Mummert piece that sold. This one was a pumpkin mug that sold for $25. I think we still have a matching pumpkin plate in the booth currently. This next one, I know the picture isn't the best on this. I was trying to find a better picture and I couldn't, but this was a signed redware bowl with this really like intricate lid. It was pretty awesome. That sold for $55. I sold a marble eye cat redware lantern for $22. Then here's another set of wooden ornaments. These ones were shaped like candy corn. So it was the whole little bundle there that sold for $5. We sold a Murano glass paperweight for $42. A little ceramic pumpkin that had a ghost on it, that sold for $9. We also sold a signed jack-o'-lantern. This one was also pottery. That sold for $23. Then here are two more melted popcorn Halloween wall hangings. Again, both of these in the picture sold. One was a witch on a broom. That sold for $22. And then the other one was a black cat with the moon. And that one also sold for $22. Then the next item was a Fenton milk glass hobnail kind of stretch pitcher that sold for $89. And then the last two items were two Fenton Amberina glass little swung vases, and those sold for $65 a piece. So they both went at the same time. So that is everything for the month of September. I think it was a pretty good month. So like I said, we're in the beginning of October. I'm curious to see how October will go. I think a lot of people have, you know, been buying Halloween stuff. So I'm curious to see if like more Halloween will go in October, or if people are like already Christmas, let's go, you know what I mean? So I'm not entirely sure when we're going to be bringing in Christmas stuff, but I'm sure it won't be very long. So yeah, I think September was pretty good. I will say, like, obviously, like, things happen. We did have, like, Eric and I went into the booth the other day to drop some stuff off, and we saw our glass case and it looked ransacked. Now, we don't lock our glass case, one, just because we don't have a lock for the case. I don't like locking things up because I want people to, you know, be able to see things and look at things. And I know sometimes me as a shopper, I mean, if I want something bad enough, I'll go ask for the key. But sometimes if I'm hemming and hawing a little too much, I just won't even ask, you know what I mean, for the key. So I just walk away. So I don't like to keep things locked up or anything like that. But we do have some really nice, very expensive glass pieces, especially some that are on like the smaller side, really fragile, that kind of thing. So whenever we do get a lockable case, or we do maybe eventually lock our glass case, you know, I'll be more inclined to put those pieces in. But what I'm trying to get at is one of our fairy lamps got broken. It was an $80 fairy lamp, which sucks. I forget even like what piece it was, if it was the top or the bottom. I didn't even ask Eric, but we kept the piece, so if we would happen to come across like the other piece again sometime, then we can, you know, complete one and sell it. So it's like, I understand things are gonna happen. Things are going to potentially go missing. Things are going to potentially get broken. That's part of having a business. It's the same way with eBay. I don't know how many times, I don't even want to know how many times I have broken something, or Eric has broken something, or ruined something in some way that we specifically bought to resell and then having to throw it away. So it's like all the profit just kind of goes in the trash. But that's part of having a business. You know, you just have to kind of realize that those things are going to happen. I'm just thankful that the person who, you know, I don't think they said that they broke it, but, you know, whoever it was that saw it and found it, they, you know, took it up to the counter and got it out of, you know, the case. So no one's like hurting themselves touching it or anything like that, you know, because I don't know if there was like sharp, jaggy edges or anything like that on it. But, so yeah, it's just, you know, something that is just going to happen. It's a little disheartening when it does, but you know, it just happens. And I will say too, like when we went in that day, it just looked like someone was like moving stuff all around. Like everything was in like on different shelves than what it was originally, and just like all pilfered through. And you know, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone because everyone's different, but when I'm in like an antique store looking around, I am just so incredibly careful with stuff, like more extra careful about things than I am like anywhere else. Just because like I know things are fragile, sometimes you're in like a tighter space and it's harder to, you know, look around at things, so I'm really hesitant when I'm even picking up something that I know is breakable. So it's like, you know, I've tried to be super, super careful and just mindful of, you know, this is someone's stuff and, you know, I don't want to potentially damage anything of theirs kind of thing. But then I think there's just other people that are like, you know, and they just do whatever they want to do and, you know, make a mess and what have you. But, you know, just, there's gonna be people like that. You can't stop them basically. So like I said, things happen, and you know, as long as it's not like a reoccurring thing, I don't think that will lock our glass case. But if it happens again, or you know, something like that, we're gonna definitely probably lock the glass case, which I'm not happy about having to do. But you know, we also can't be throwing away $80 here and there, dilly-dally, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I think that's really the only thing that I had to share, kind of our first real like something got broken type of thing. So anyone who, even if you don't have a booth, like if you purchased something to resell and then dropped it while you were cleaning it or something like that, let me know. Oh my gosh, I can tell you a story. At one point I sold a Chanel silk scarf. The person returned it. I don't remember why. I don't know if it was the measurements they didn't care for, something they didn't care for. And when we got it back, Eric cut into the bag and cut the scarf. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, you know, and I've done things too, so I can't just say, oh, Eric did this, because I've broken things myself. But you know, it happens, and it's disheartening when it happens, especially when you do it yourself. It's like, oh my gosh, gotta throw this away now, you know what I mean? So let me know if that has ever happened to you, regardless if it was in your booth or, you know, it was something that you bought to resell on eBay or something, because I think it's happened to everyone. And if it hasn't happened yet, it probably will at some point, and you're gonna be upset about it, but you know, just remember it happens and don't dwell on it because it'll just make you feel worse. So that's pretty much everything I think that I have to share with the booth. I will say too, and I did want to mention this because I know there are subscribers of mine who also watch Kate, Follow That Bug. I kind of wanted to give a little shout out here because I know when she does some antique shopping videos, she does go to the mall where, you know, our booth is at, and she sometimes buys stuff from us. And also, She's on Whatnot, and she'll do like live shopping videos at the antique mall that we have our booth at. So I do know that sometimes sales are coming from, you know, the people that are watching her Whatnot live sales. So, and I know some of you are on there. So, and then some of you might not even realize or anything like that. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, so you can go follow her or like follow her on Whatnot. Her username on both is Follow That Bug. I am on Whatnot. My username on Whatnot is The Lanky Cat. Don't even ask me the story behind why I changed my Whatnot name. My Whatnot name used to be Shell.Belle, and then I put YT behind it for YouTube because Shell.Belle was already taken when I joined Whatnot. So every time I would go into a show, and you know, because I buy stuff on Whatnot as well, and anytime I'd go into a show and people would, you know, they usually sometimes say your name, like welcome in, and then your name, and every single time I'd go into a show, welcome in Shell.Belle. Shell.Belle. I mean, because of the Y and then the T, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's not Shell.Belle. And I wanted to change it. I was over it. It's like, I'd rather go into a show and people are like, oh, welcome in, the Lanky Cat. I don't know, that just sounds more amazing to me, so I changed it. But yeah, that's pretty much, I feel like that's everything that I wanted to just kind of discuss after this video that was sort of related to the antique booth. So you guys have to let me know down in the comments if you have a booth, how your September sales were. When are you going to be putting in any Christmas items? Still trying to figure that out. I know sometimes it's just, it's a thought process of, do we want to, you know, overload the booth with a holiday, or do we just want to sprinkle it in amongst regular stuff? It's like, it's always kind of that toss up of like what we want to do actually. But I do think, like, as far as September went, I feel like it was a pretty decent mix of Halloween as well as just regular stuff. So that's probably what we'll do with Christmas too. It'll be Christmas, but also regular things as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and I will see you next time.